Julie Colme, 1883, Glasgow, Scotland. The River Clyde hummed with Victorian industry as crowds gathered at Alexander Stephen Sons Shipyard in Govan. They had come to witness the launch of the SS Daphne, a routine 500-ton steamer destined for peaceful cargo runs. The morning air was thick with anticipation and coal smoke. Families lined the riverbank, children perched on their father's shoulders, wives clutching picnic baskets. It was meant to be a celebration, another triumph of Scottish shipbuilding prowess. But 200 men and boys remained aboard the Daphne as she sat poised on the slipway. Workers, riggers, apprentices, some as young as 14, ready to continue fitting out the vessel once she reached the water. This was standard practice. Ships were launched half-finished, then completed afloat. Among them was young George McGee, a 14-year-old snipper boy earning his first wages. James Douglas Stephen, an apprentice plumber whose family watched proudly from shore. John MacDonald, barely 15, learning the joiner's trade under his uncle's guidance. At precisely 12:30 p.m., the wooden blocks were knocked away. The Daphne began her slide down the greased ways toward the Clyde, gathering speed as hundreds cheered from the banks. Then, everything went wrong. As the vessel hit the water, two anchors were meant to arrest her forward motion, one port, one starboard, connected by heavy chains. The starboard anchor caught and held after moving just 7 yards, but the port anchor dragged 60 yards through the river mud, creating a deadly imbalance. The current of the Clyde seized the ship like a giant hand. The Daphne lurched violently to port, her incomplete deck gaping open where the boiler was meant to be installed. Water rushed through the opening with the force of a tidal wave. In less than 3 minutes, the ship had completely capsized in front of the horrified crowd. 200 souls went into the dark water of the Clyde. The cheering stopped. Screaming began. Rescue boats launched immediately, but the Daphne had rolled so quickly that most men never reached the surface. Thomas Fisher, the lead rescue diver, descended into the murky depths and found something that haunted him for the rest of his life. The stairway to the cabin was blocked with one solid mass of bodies, Fisher reported. The men were lying there thick together, one crowded on top of the other. They had rushed from their tasks and jammed each other in the struggle to reach the deck. In the bowels of the ship, apprentices who had been working below decks were trapped as water flooded their workspace. Their tools still in hand, their lunch pails floating beside them, they had drowned in darkness, calling for mothers who would never answer. Only 70 men survived. 124 perished, many of them boys, who should have been playing in Glasgow's streets, not lying cold beneath the Clyde's black water. The inquiry that followed exonerated Alexander Stephen Sons completely. No design flaws, no negligence, just an unfortunate accident caused by little initial stability combined with too much loose gear and too many people on board. But the families of the dead whispered different stories. They spoke of cost-cutting measures, of warnings ignored, of safety sacrificed for profit. The official verdict felt like salt in wounds that would never heal. The Daphne herself was raised weeks later, repaired, and renamed the Rose. But workers who boarded her reported hearing sounds in the night, hammering below decks where no one worked, footsteps in empty passages, and the voices of boys calling for help that would never come. The ship served for 35 years before meeting her final fate in 1918, destroyed by a mine off Turkey. Some said she was cursed from that July day in 1883, carrying the ghosts of those 124 souls who never made it home. Today, a memorial stands in Cregton Cemetery where 50 of the victims lie buried. On foggy Glasgow nights, locals claim you can still hear the sound of hammering from the empty shipyards, the ghostly apprentices, forever trying to finish the work that killed them. 124 men and boys went to work on a Tuesday morning in 1883, but they never clocked out. Some jobs end in paychecks, others end in graves. The Daphne taught Glasgow that the difference can be measured in minutes. Subscribe to the Midnight Whispers for true horror from forgotten files. One unforgettable story, one haunted night. Dare to join us?